Hello, everybody. This is Ghost Hunter 385, and I am back with more StarCraft 2 and more commentary for everybody. So let's get started here with Tychus. Oh, Tychus, don't be crying because that sweet thing wasn't into you. Poor boy. Oh well. Roguish charm my butt. Well, Jim gave up on the normal life after what happened with Sarah Kerrigan. Ha. No, Jim could have had the quiet life. I don't know about you, Tychus, but ugh, I don't want to think about it right now. He thinks he's so bad. Mercenaries? Contracts, what do we got here? Two. Oh, we got two new ones. Hell's Angels. After the Norse god of death, the pirate grew. Oh, that's nice, they're pirates. And the Dustwings were the top squadron banshees of the Dominion before they decided to go AWOL. Can't say I blame them. The money's better. And what's Donnie gonna say right now? Good news and bad news on Core Hall. The refugees has dropped. His have found new planets to settle on. For the bad news, let's go to Kate Lockwell. Kate.
What? Is the feed open?
Oh, they're independent of the Dominion. So sad. So terrible. Gee, I guess what Jim says later on is right. When you leave people to, what was the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, die to the Zerg, they might just hold a grudge. And look, he's even calling them rebels. They're not even rebels, they're just people. Gosh. I mean, think about that for a minute.
Can he warn me when he's gonna do that?
No, they probably can't. Well, of course anyone's going to take it personal when you leave them to die, Jim. Think about that one for a minute. I mean, you took it personally when Arcturus left Kerrigan, Sarah to die. And that was the Agria flag. Nice, nice, nice. Let's go to the laboratory. Nothing new. Alright, let's sell off these Protoss artifacts. Well, no, is that Zerg or Protoss? I'm pretty sure it was one or the other. See, what does Swan say? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about how big that Protoss ship is. And, of course, Jim's like, yeah, I'd be more impressed if they were throwing that at the Zerg. But then again, the political instability of the Protoss right now isn't exactly going well. On that note, but on the other side, you know, teaming up would be. Alrighty, now what's going on here? Viking pilots for a rare breed. Few pilots can master both forms of vehicle and well, that's one way to describe it, I guess. Describing a transformation sequence like that. Yes, the final takeover, the Maelstrom round. Boom. Very nice. Ooh, what's this? Yes, yes, yes. I will be taking that. Banshees can cloak for twice as long now. Yes, I will be taking that too. Alrighty, let's go to the bridge. And what do we got here? Belshiar, Sigma Quadrant, and Valhalla. Alright, let's go to Belshiar. Here we go. Much prettier than Redstone.
I don't much like fighting.
I guess Protoss. Well, who wants to take on the Protoss? Their technology's more advanced. Tal'Darim. Well, in a way it is, consider. Well, that's more Legacy of the Void, but what Terrazine actually does is interesting when you think about it. Ooh, yay! Finally the Goliaths. I always did like the Goliaths in the first game. They got the machine guns on top and the missile launchers too.
How do we get to the Terrazine?
How do we get the Terrazine? It's just like the most click the Terrazine, you just need to grab it. So in other words, we need to use an SCV. Gotcha. We'll haul it away. We just gotta keep them protected. Blah 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 blah.
With any luck.
Oh, that would be nice.
Find us.
Too bad the Tal'Darim's probably going to pick us up on those really advanced sensors of theirs. Alright, everybody, now that we're into the thick of things here, let's talk about today's video topic. And today's topic is not going to be a subject, but a person. Who is this person? None other than Andrew Tate. Now, some people might sit here and say, Ghost Hunter, what do you mean you're doing Andrew Tate? He's a misogynist. Well, everything that I've heard him talk about and read about him, it was the narrative that he's a misogynist, not that he is a misogynist. First artifact right there, folks. First artifact right there. Let's scoot that up real quick. But anyway, I've been doing my research into Mr. Tate. Now, some might sit here and say, who is he? Well, Mr. Tate is mixed race, if you could even call humanity a mixed race in my opinion, but what my opinion is means very little. But anyway, he is born of mixed race. His father was an international renowned chess player. So, yay for him. He's got a really good dad, really smart dad. But anyway, Mr. Tate then went on to become a professional fighter and was more or less a very high level, I believe, kickboxing champion it was. And he was lightweight. I don't think he went heavyweight, but I know he was lightweight, and he was pretty good. Well, I don't know. I've never seen any of his matches, but he was very talented fighter in the professional combat fighting ring. Anyway, Mr. Tate then went on to do a bunch of podcasts and other things where he started speaking about his views and his beliefs. And after he became famous, that's when trolls is the best way to describe these people, trolls started digging through all of his stuff that he had said previously and said, oh my gosh, look at this, he's saying all of these things and it's so misogynistic and blah 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 blah, it's so hateful. Now, I've gone through and listened to as much as I can about what Andrew Tate was saying and talking about. And the thing that I actually think is really sad is that if you actually listen to what he says compared to how people have responded to him, I think it's actually an accurate assessment to sit there and say that he has been judged a little too harshly for what he says. Now, some people might sit there and say, you can't say that, he's a misogynist. Okay, what was that woman's name? Clementine Ford? I think that was her name. A very well-known feminist who sat there and said that because of lockdowns, men are dying. Good, they're not dying fast enough. That's misandry. The hatred for men. Yet, she wasn't canceled. She didn't have all her social media stuff destroyed. Yet she's spreading, quote-unquote, hate. But I digress. After doing as much research as I can on Mr. Tate, I have come to my own opinion that he is not a misogynist. Now, I will sit here and say that he is a man who is allowed to have his views and opinions. I mean, when he went on to Piers Morgan's show, it was nothing more than, in my opinion, a big trap for him to go on. Now, some people might sit there and say, though, that's not true. Piers owned him. Well, if you've actually watched the whole interview, Piers was being very good at being confrontational with Mr. Tate and basically doing his best to spin the narrative that Mr. Tate was a misogynist and other things, and also authoritarian, controlling jerk, however you want to phrase that. There's another word you could use there, but I'm not going to use that because I don't think it's very much true that he is. But anyway, and then if you actually sat there and listened to what Mr. Tate said, Mr. Tate, and I quote here, said that if a woman gives you the responsibility to watch out for her, then how can you sit here and say that you're being a misogynist? Now, the quote that a lot of people sit here and think about when it comes to Mr. Tate is, if a woman, quote unquote here, gives you the, not power, I'm not trying to lambaste this coat here because I'm not going to sit here and make him look bad when he actually isn't. But more or less the point is, I can't even remember, I'm not going to try and say the quote because I don't have it in front of me, but basically Mr. Tate said that if a woman gives you authority over her, she would be better to listen and to at least listen to you. And in the Piers Morgan interview, Piers Morgan uses this and says, isn't this controlling women being misogynistic? And Andrew Tate was saying, no, that's not what I'm saying here is. And I will be fair to Mr. Andrew Tate here that basically what he was saying was being very much taken out of context. Because what he said is that if a woman wants you to protect her, quote unquote, and she gives you that responsibility, therefore she grants you the authority to sit there and say, no, we should not do this. And if she doesn't want that, give that to you, then, he's not going to stop them. She can do what she wants, but if she's not going to at the very least listen to him and respect what he's trying to say here, and then if something bad happens to her, that's on her. He's not trying to take control or authority over her. And then there was the whole marriage part where Pierce was trying to sit there and say that you oh geez, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Basically that when a father gives his daughter away, she quote unquote becomes property. And Andrew sat there and said, no, that's not what I said. Well, I did say that. Let me rephrase that. He did say that, but he was applying it in the religious context. What do you mean, the religious context? In religion, as things changed over time, a father giving away his daughter became the significance of her being married, of passing the responsibility of the daughter onto the man she's marrying. In the religious context, it's not misogyny here, folks. It never was. Now, you could sit here and argue all you want that how religion views women is misogyny, and I hate to break it to you, but whether it be Jewish, Islamic, or Christian, it's all, even in Rome, the man was responsible for their children, responsible for their sons, responsible for their daughters, and they were also responsible for keeping it to, especially when it came to marriage, to get your daughter a good husband. I mean, think of the, what was it? Oh, that's right, the Tudor HBO series where it featured the reign of Henry VIII. Just to kind of put some context here, folks, in that show, even though it was more of a dramatization of Henry VIII's rule, let me be straight here, folks. In that show, there was a man who agreed to poison religious people. He put poison in their food. He put poison in the soup. Why did he do it? For money. Why did he do it for money? Because he wanted to find good husbands for his daughters. And to find a good husband, he had to have enough money for a dowry. And a dowry is a whole nother subject, but people who know enough history will know what a dowry is.
Excellent.
But in any case, Mr. Tate is not espousing hate. He values traditional values. Now, some might sit here and say, well, traditional values suck. Well, aspects of traditional values do suck. I'll give you that. Because it kind of takes away some of the freedom that a lot of people would like to enjoy from what we have nowadays. Because, you have more freedoms. As long as you have the money and you have the ability to earn the resources. Oh, I forgot to mention a couple minutes back, there was the second artifact. Here's the third. Sorry about that, folks. But in any case, Mr. Tate, in my opinion, is not a misogynist. Now, if he's not a misogynist, why did he get canceled? Okay, Mr. Tate, in my opinion, was basically social media, what's the word I'm looking for here? Banished, excised, take your pick here, folks. He was banished, removed from social media, not because of his opinion, not because of his own personal beliefs. It's because the same reason why Jordan Peterson, in a reason, was banned. Why were they both banned? Because they spoke out against the woke narrative, the woke ideology. Now, some people might sit here and say, well, if they don't... let me phrase this better. Sorry. Okay. Just because it's not okay to speak out against the woke crowd. They're trying to make the world better. Well, if that's your purview, go ahead and believe that all you want. I'm not going to deter you. But Andrew Tate preached traditional masculinity and also freedom. And now some people might sit there and say, that's not what he preached. If you don't believe me, go try and listen to Mr. Tate unbiasedly here. Go about, listen to what he says, and think about it for a minute. Is what he's saying, quote unquote here, not unlike someone who isn't American born but also believes in tradition? So I'm going to leave that there because my point here, that point there is straight up is that Mr. Tate believes in freedom. He believes in freedom of speech, but he also believes in traditional masculinity. And if anyone has a problem with that, that's their issue. I don't have a problem with traditional masculinity because traditional masculinity has led the world through a lot of time. And it's also helped safeguard the human race, in my opinion. Oh, what? Someone who fights in wars and rages? Blah, 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 blah. Well, there's more to it than just that, folks. But I believe Mr. Tate was canceled off of everything just because he was traditionally masculine, and he also opposed those values. But he would also talk and spread his opinion. Just as an example here, he sat there and said, taxing the rich is going to make things better. Well, Mr. Tate sat there and laid out, well, the best way to phrase it is that someone has a trust fund in Ecuador that owns a company. Well, who owns the trust fund? Does the person who's gaining revenue from the company getting the revenue, and is that taxable because it's out in Ecuador and the money that goes to the banks in Sweden? And taxing the rich has a nice ring to it. It sounds nice, but is it really all that plausible when you consider the loopholes plus setting up businesses in other countries can do? It's a really good point that how can you tax somebody when they're so far away? Not to mention, other commentators have pointed out that if a person wants to stop the U.S. government and others from taxing them, all they have to do, literally, is set up banks and other investments abroad. U.S. can't touch it unless it comes back to the U.S. But in any case, folks, that's my thoughts. That's my opinions. If you like, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Bang the bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.